Before I say a word, I want you to watch this. Don't watch it passively. I want you to watch it with your heart, with your spirit, and your ancestral remembrance. This is a panel of spiritual teachers responding to a question from a Black woman. How do I embody my God self in a world that tells me that I am less than? Take a listen.
I have a question that seems to lead from these previous questions, which is on trauma, but it's on collective trauma and ancestral trauma. And sometimes I have felt in the past, because we're in the quantum right now, but like where is the line between spiritual bypassing and then real ancestral and collective trauma, like being a woman of color and then, knowing that I am God and that I am and all of these beautiful things that are of possibility, and there is white privilege, and there are these things in the 3D world, and it's been an interesting, experience, essentially.
I'm curious at the level that I'm allowed to answer this.
Amen.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot, you don't have a right to answer this because you're a white man.
Right.
I mean, the amount of YouTube comments I've heard, that I just want you to know, I think that this polarizing is also happening inside of us in different ways we don't understand, and I'm absolutely honoring your situation. But I want to point out, I would love to meet you heart to heart beyond our race.
For sure.
Right? And just tell you, it literally came up, the level that I'm allowed to answer because I'm a white man. I mean, I get a lot of emails. I would love to hear your content, Kyle, but you're just a white man. And that implies that they're looking at me based on my race. And that implies they're looking at themselves based on their race. And there's no part of me denying anything that could make it potentially harder for you. But I just see you past that. And I do believe very much there are examples of people that saw themselves past their race, like Oprah. Right? I don't think of Oprah necessarily as someone who moved as if it's harder for me because I'm a Black woman. I think she just said there's a calling here. And that made her one of the most powerful women ever. It's not a dismissal, again, of the circumstance. But I do believe very much that our connection to Source transcends our circumstances. And so I like to move as if, even though there are patterns for me that go, can I answer as a white guy? And I bet you feel that sometimes too, And I want to answer, and I want to answer from the God me. And see you at the God you. And see if you didn't just consider what could be a limitation and went past it and said, I'm here to be what I am and not play the game that the world would love for us to be in because they don't have to face their magical abilities if they keep us at the level of our skin color and our gender and everything else. You are so much more than your circumstance. And I see you at beyond my circumstance, and I don't go, oh, it's not, you're just a woman of color, I think you're magic and infinite, and that's where I want to talk from. And even though some of us do have some limitations, I don't know that a person that's 3 feet tall can dunk a basketball. I'm going to honor that. But I do think this is a conceptual thing that the world would love for us to stay in as another way to keep us in a smaller lie so that we don't step up. Because the second we start seeing each other at the truth of what we are, we win the game. Oh, I'm just a dumb white guy.
No, I mean, I
were gonna say that.
asked you for a reason, right? I came up here to ask you, you're not a dumb
No,
guy.
and I appreciate that. Yeah, I just want to take you past it. The way that I take someone else past you're not just your childhood abuse, or you're not just that, And anyone else want to add?
Yeah, it's all just labels at the end of the day.
Yes.
We're not the body.
We're not the character, it's part of what we are. It's not the sum total of what we are. And so I guess what I would add to what Kyle said of where's the line between bypassing and being realistic about the world we live in, the whole world we live in right now, the matrix world, is based on systems that are meant to limit us in certain ways, based on the different labels that it divides us by. And what I found is that forgiveness is the way we rise above the system, not just physically, but like karmically and metaphysically. That yes, you can acknowledge things like racism in the world, and yet, as Martin Luther King did, right, forgiving those people for their racism allows you to no longer be a karmic match to it. And so you can live in a space where we can recognize the distortions playing out in the world, and yet we're not of that world anymore. And so we're not limited by that world anymore. And so yes, somebody who says, well, I'm a man of color, I'm a woman of color, therefore I can't do X, Y, Z, is just wearing a limitation. That through forgiving the system that creates that stipulation for them, like an Oprah, like a Barack Obama, are no longer limited by it. So we have to find ways to forgive the things that we feel are binding us and limiting us. Otherwise, we keep ourselves on that frequency level. Mm-hmm. So that's all I would add to what Kyle said.
Thank you.
You know what? I would say, and also the energy that's underneath what you're calling, there's the label. As soon as we label it, we're not meeting the energy. And then when we actually meet that energy that's underneath that, it kind of looks more like that. Yeah. And to let that be seen, because a lot of people are trying to let this be seen at the rational level. This is wrong, and look at this, and can't you see that? And it's all mind. And the label is mind. But your embodiment is stronger. And it will let something be seen and be moved and you'll embody a strength that lets something in you shine, that has everyone who sees you know better.
Now breathe. That sounded pretty good, right? Makes you feel good. Sounds like they said all the right things. But what you just witnessed is what I call spiritual erasure. And yes, it is bypassing. It is the whitewashing. It is the same old lie wrapped in a lotus flower. A Black woman asks how to live as God in a world that devalues her. And the answer she receives is, let go of being a Black woman. Transcend the pain, deny the body, forget your identity in order to be divine. But I came to tell you, that is not God. That is not healing. That is not freedom. That is discomfort pretending to be wisdom. And it's another way that we keep the Black consciousness, Black people, this Black woman stuck in her seeking and her spiritual journey, but also humanity stuck in the old paradigm. So let's tell the truth. Western society, rooted in white European domination, has long used our differences to divide, to dominate, to control. And those still under that spell, even in spiritual spaces, often cannot imagine difference outside of division. They see our skin, our story, our lineage, our heritage, and it triggers something they haven't yet faced. So they tell us to shut it, to just be light. But let me ask you this. If God didn't want difference, why would God create it? Before white supremacy, there was a world where difference was divine, where Black civilizations held the earth in balance, where we traded, learned, loved, and built with others across oceans, not by erasing our culture, but offering it. Our skin is not the burden. White discomfort is. And the way it shows up now, disguised as oneness, is still supremacy. You see, oneness does not mean sameness. We are one in source, but we are all intentionally different in form. And to my brother, Aaron Abke, you spoke of forgiveness, and yes, forgiveness is needed. But from white spiritual leaders, we ask for a little bit more. We ask for accountability. We ask for truth-telling. We ask for you to participate in the active repair of the old earth into the new, for radical listening, and for the willingness to face your own shadows. Because this desire to ignore race, this is your shadow. It is not our truth. To say we must transcend our blackness, to find our God self, is to strip us of the very portal that led us there. We are not God, despite being Black women. We are one with God through it. So to every Black woman watching, I want you to hear me. Your Blackness is not a wound to hide. It is holy frequency. Humanity was born out of the womb of a Black woman. Your culture, your body, your history, they're sacred. You do not lead to leave your identity behind to meet your God self. You need to remember. And Oprah remembered. Barack Obama remembered. And Martin Luther King remembered. So let that remembrance be your revolution. What happens in New Age spirituality, often led, unfortunately, by people that are still very much entrenched in the very separation that they're attempting to heal, is they continue to erase Blackness, but also everything that is truly a unique manifestation of the beauty and sacredness of God. We were not meant to live a life where we are all just a ball of light. God chose to express itself in all of its grace and all of its greatness, every ray of its light through each one of us. And what that does is it creates a magnificent tapestry of differences. What we need, what true spirituality of the light needs, is to dissolve the very separation that got us so far off track as humans, and to completely dismantle this idea that you must be colorblind, that you must erase everything that makes us beautiful, all of our sacred, unique combinations and contributions in order to be one. It is a lie, it is a fallacy, it is simply an expression of a shadow that white spiritual leaders must begin to look at. And honestly, I have seen it spoken and echoed and repeated by Black spiritual leaders because they're under the same trance. And so I am lovingly inviting all those in the spiritual space who truly desire a new earth to the panel that answered this beautiful soul that day. I see your beautiful intentions, but if you truly desire the new world that you seek, you must face this shadow. You must challenge your assumptions and let us give birth to a new world that sees all of us. Let this be the day we call out false unity and reclaim the sacredness in full color. reclaim every part of God and all of its expression here in this 3D. Let this be the day. So if this resonates with you, I want you to join me. I want you to hit subscribe, get the notifications when I post new videos, follow the Black Soul Heal lead, because what I am here to undo is the separation and the fragmentation of the source code that is held by African ancestors and their descendants, that continues to be paralyzed and enslaved psychologically and unfortunately is being carried into spiritual movements. I want to bring this to the light because often you will notice, if you are perhaps someone who attends a lot of these spiritual circles, you'll notice that there aren't many Black people that attend. And that's because spiritually, energetically, subconsciously, they are feeling the dissonance. They are feeling that even in those structures, the same oppression is being upheld. The same erasure, the same bypassing is still occurring. That the true message has not yet gone through to those circles. And I would like to invite everyone that is of the light, that desires a new earth, to consider and to listen to this message from your soul. That part where one of the panelists took a break and basically said, oh, there's this part of me that asks, well, should I even be talking because I'm a white man? That wasn't your separation or your ego. This was the part of you that knew that you were still stuck in a system, that you were still had blind spots that you haven't yet addressed. And so the messages that you have been receiving that you referred to, and I'm sorry that they belittled you and called you just another white man, because you aren't. But the essence and the soul of it is simply an invitation to take a look at the shadow that makes your whiteness uncomfortable with acknowledging color. We should see color. We should celebrate it and understand that differences does not mean division automatically. Just because it has been so for centuries doesn't mean that that is the only way. To equate shedding your race, like the panelist said, to shedding your childhood traumas is blasphemy. Blasphemy. We should not shed our race. We should shed the system that has made being the race that we are so painful. The new earth way, just like in nature, is one where all of its diversity can work symbiotically, each contributing the unique gifts that they carried into form to benefit the whole. We must stop making spirituality a new form of individualistic separation. This is not the way. And I have a firm belief that the reason why so many people that have chosen to incarnate here in white form and carry those codes are called to some of this new age spirituality is because you feel that. You feel the pull, you feel the fragmentation and the separation that has occurred for so long and that has spread around the globe like a disease. And you are seeking to return home. And so if you're listening to this, return home. Remove separation from spirituality. Remove the spiritual bypassing and let us see one another in all of our wholeness. And thank each other and say, wow, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. What I would have liked us to say to that Black woman, and I will say it to her now, is that you are God in Black. You are sacred in woman. You are holy, not despite your identity, but because of it. And the world cannot be healed without the full light of who you are. Do not silence any of it. Do not bypass any of it. We need all of you to step into the light. This is what will birth the new world, and this is what will heal humanity. And that is what God, through all of us, is calling for now. There is a constant searching and seeking that will never end in current New Age spiritual circles. Because what continues to be missing is that true oneness that truly sees all parts of ourselves. We have simply fragmented ourselves in new ways. We must go out of the individual way of practicing spirituality and back into one that truly reunites all of our pieces. And so shine today, all of you, in all of your magnificent colors. Remember your ancestry, remember your story, remember why you chose this form, this life. Remember that you carry something holy in your genes and the world needs it. Shine as if you were the one because you are. And in your shining, we shall be one again.